They handed me a fake violation notice on my own porch. Told me my lawn was non-compliant, my front door was the wrong color, and if I didn't fix it, I'd be evicted. What they didn't know, I'm not just a homeowner. I own 60% of the entire subdivision, including their lots. So when I found out this was a fake HOA run by a power-hungry neighbor, I played along until I took everything back in one brutal move. It started with a note taped to my door. Notice of violation. HOA compliance needed. Typed. No signature. No phone number. Just a threat. Fix my non-regulation mailbox, repaint my door, and correct lawn aesthetics, or I'd be fined $500 a day starting next week. Now, I've lived in this neighborhood for over 14 years. My grandfather built this land from dirt and gravel. When he passed, most of it came to me. We never had an HOA. It was part of the selling point for many. So this made no sense. I called my neighbor Trina first. She was a real estate agent and sharp as a tack. Do we have an HOA now? Not legally, she said. But have you met Eli from Lot 9? He's been telling people he's forming one. Ah, yes. Eli, the smug guy who moved in last year with shiny loafers, oversized aviators, and opinions nobody asked for. He threw a welcome block party on a Tuesday, charged $10 for lemonade, and had a drone fly over everyone's backyards for inspection purposes. Still, the idea that he could form a homeowners association and start handing out fake violations sounded insane. Until I walked the block. 6 homes had the same notice taped to their doors. Some folks had already repainted their garage doors. Others were trimming hedges down to stubs, panicking about fees they didn't even know how to pay. That's when I realized this wasn't a prank. It was a con. Eli had created a fake HOA. No city registration, no governing board, no legal power, just pure intimidation. And it was working, but not on me. I kept quiet. I smiled when Eli passed by in his golf cart. Yes, he bought one for HOA patrol, and waved when he smugly reminded me about the final warning on my front porch. What he didn't know is that I had just finalized a land trust, one that included 19 of the 32 parcels in our development. Not just my house, but over half the neighborhood. Why? Because when my grandfather passed, he left me rights to a holding company, which owned unfinished lots and undeveloped land most people never bothered researching. I've been gradually buying back parcels from owners moving away, quietly, legally, and now I own 60% of a neighborhood. But I didn't strike back right away. First, I watched. Eli began collecting fees. People wrote checks to something called Wexford Estates HOA Incorporated, a company he registered in another county. He found a mother of 3 for a non-standard basketball hoop. Sent a warning letter to a 76-year-old veteran about his flagpole being unsanctioned. Even threatened to tow cars from driveways that had visible oil stains. Enough was enough. I printed out the real parcel ownership list, highlighted every single lot I owned. Then I went to the county clerk and filed a cease and desist on Eli's fake HOA activities, complete with a fraud report. And then I called neighborhood meeting. I reserved the local rec center and hand-delivered invites to every home. Eli showed up, chest-puffed, clipboard in hand. Glad you finally decided to comply, he smirked. I smiled. Tonight's presentation isn't about compliance, Eli. It's about ownership. He frowned. As the room filled, I projected the parcel map onto the wall. Each lot I owned glowing in bright green. There were gasps. And then I explained the legal foundation of the neighborhood. How there was no legally binding HOA unless unanimously voted on by all owners, which had never happened. And I explained how Eli's company wasn't even registered in the same jurisdiction, that his so-called fees were fraud. He turned pale. You can't do this, he said, voice cracking. You don't own this neighborhood. I actually do, I replied, and you're trespassing. The sheriff I'd invited walked up, tipped his hat, and handed Eli a notice. Fraud, harassment, an impersonation of a governing body. The HOA? Dissolved. The money? Frozen. The drone? Confiscated. But that wasn't the end. Eli's jaw clenched as the sheriff read him his rights. Not an arrest, yet, but a clear warning. Any further attempts to collect fake dues or enforce imaginary rules would lead to full criminal charges. He stormed out of the community center, muttering legal threats under his breath. But I wasn't done. The very next morning, I filed a motion with the county to rezone the lots I owned. Since I held majority property rights in the subdivision, I could request usage changes as long as they didn't violate local statutes. The zoning board approved my first motion within 2 weeks. I declare my 60% of the neighborhood a no HOA zone. That meant no fees, no aesthetic restrictions, no patrols, full freedom for residents within municipal code. And just to make the point crystal clear, I installed a large decorative sign at the entrance of my private zone. Welcome to Freehold Lane. No fake HOAs allowed. Community by integrity. Now, the dominoes started falling fast. Trina helped several residents file small claims cases against Eli to recover the dues they'd paid him. Over $23,000 in total. He'd spent most of it on landscaping contracts, patrol gear, and that ridiculous HOA golf cart. The courts sided with the residents. Every single one. And I took it one step further. I offered discounted long-term lease options on the lots I owned, giving younger families the opportunity to stay in the neighborhood without buying overpriced land. My lease required no HOA, no board, just respect for basic laws and your neighbors. Families started moving in. Happy families. Families that didn't feel harassed for having a garden gnome or a clothesline. Eli, his fake Weckford Estates HOA collapsed. He tried starting a website to defend himself, calling me a tyrant and anti-community. But that didn't work when I published the original subdivision charter on my own site, exposing every lie. He tried to sue me, and lost. He claimed I manipulated land purchases. My lawyer simply said, "Your Honor, Mr. Eli had the same opportunity to purchase land. He was too busy printing fake citations." The judge didn't even take 5 minutes. Case dismissed. The real twist? Eli's home, the one on Lot 9, technically sat on land I now own a 40% share of. Why? Because the original builder had defaulted on taxes years ago, and a quiet title lawsuit had split ownership. I bought in cheap years ago, never expecting to use it. But now, I had legal leverage. So I offered Eli a deal. He could stay, rent-free, for 12 months. If he signed a full confession admitting to HOA fraud and personally returned every cent to the families he'd bullied. He refused. So I invoked my share rights and put the lot up for forced petition sale. Guess what? Nobody bid. So I bought it at county auction for $67,000. That's how Eli was legally evicted from a house he once thought gave him power over everyone. He was last seen trying to start another community 2 towns over, this time in a trailer park. Good luck enforcing mailbox uniformity there. And as for my neighborhood, it thrived. We built a volunteer board, not a governing body, just a group that hosted seasonal events and helped elders with maintenance. We had movie nights on the lawn, potlucks on Saturdays, and no fear of getting fined for flying a kite or leaving your boots on the porch. People talked to each other again, not through letters taped to doors, but face-to-face, over coffee and shared meals. Trina was elected to city council, and I kept quiet, managed the land, watched over the families, and made sure no one ever felt small in their own home again. Because that's what home should be: safe, free, and truly yours. Subscribe now if you love justice served cold and stories where the underdog owns the land beneath the villain's feet. New animated episodes drop every day. And trust me, you don't want to miss the next one.